Let me tell you the consequences first. If this bill lands the way it's being pushed, more people will be physically released earlier but controlled for longer. And the families are going to get blindsided because they'll think they are out, it's over. And it's not, it's just moved. Here's what you must know in plain English: sentencing is not time served. Okay? The sentencing bill is basically the government trying to do a magic trick with prison numbers. They can't keep the prison population where it is. So the system shifts the pressure somewhere else. Less time behind the gate, more time on license, more recall risk, more probation control. So people are hearing early release and thinking, soft, no justice, less time inside. But what it actually creates for a lot of people is that a longer, shakier tightrope outside, and one mistake puts you straight back in. Right, I'm not here to be a news reporter, okay? I'm here to explain to you what happens after cameras leave, because I've watched families get destroyed by misunderstanding one thing. They plan life around the sentence length, and then reality hits them like a brick when release and license work completely differently to what they were imagining. So this series is me translating the system to you. Not vibes, not headlines, the mechanisms behind it. In episode 1, I'm giving you the foundation, what this bill is, what it's trying to do, what it changes in real life, your life, why it could reduce overcrowding but also increase chaos outside. And if you stay with me, I'll walk you into the parts people keep missing: license, recall, what fixed term recall is, and what it actually means. Being on remand or currently on license, what will change for you? Because that's where people's lives get flipped. Let's be honest about the backdrop here. Prisons are packed, staffing is stretched, movements, healthcare, education, safety, everything becomes a triage for us. So this bill isn't coming from a calm, well-funded justice system. It's coming from a system that's saying we can't hold this many bodies anymore. Not safely. Now, you can be for reform, against reform, furious or supportive. I'm not telling you how to feel. I'm telling you what it means when the system tries to relieve the pressure. Because pressure don't disappear, it moves. And when it moves, it lands on families, probation, and communities. So us, even if you're not directly involved in the justice system, you will be affected. If you remember nothing else from this episode, remember this map: prison, license, recall, probation. Prison time goes down for more people, obviously depending on the sentence type and release rules. Then license time goes up, meaning more conditions, more monitoring, more risk of breach. Recall basically becomes a trapdoor, and probation becomes the front line, whether it's ready or not. So the public sees release and thinks the end, but the system sees release and thinks now the control starts in the community. Here's a conversation I've had too many times. Families saying they've done the time, they're coming home, we can breathe. But the reality is saying, yeah, they are coming home under strict license with rules that can send them back instantly. And listen, some people need strict supervision. I'll never argue against that. Some people are generally high risk. But what I'm warning you about is how many people will be living under license pressure who are not prepared for it, whose families don't understand it, and whose support systems are already on their knees or non-existent. Because the moment you don't understand the rules, you might start breaking them by accident. And the system doesn't care if it was an accident. The system just cares if it was a breach. Let's do license in real terms. Being on license basically means you're out, but you're still serving your sentence, just under conditions. These can include things like where you live, where you can travel, who you can see, curfews, monitoring, appointments, programs, or staying away from certain areas of people. Now, here's the part that nobody says out loud. License can be the difference between someone stabilizing and someone spiraling. Because if housing collapses, mental health collapses, relationships collapse, license conditions don't stop. And that's why this bill is not just a prison story. It's a community story. The word that makes families feel sick. Recall. Recall means you're out on a license and you've returned to prison. Sometimes it's for something serious, sometimes it's for pattern behavior, or sometimes it's for a breach. And this is where viewers keep messaging me. What's this 28-day recall? What's this 56-day recall? Is it automatic? Does it mean they're going back for years? What's going to happen? So, okay, this is plain English reality. There are forms of fixed term recall where someone can be brought back in for set period, commonly discussed as either 28 days or 56 days. Now, that all depends on the recall type and circumstances, and then re-released if eligible. But don't get comfortable, because fixed term doesn't mean safe. It means the system has a faster conveyor belt back into custody. And if probation and support are stretched, and they are, that conveyor belt can start moving a lot. So here's the swap nobody debates properly. We reduce pressure inside by moving bodies out, but then we increase the pressure outside by extending supervision and recall, which means probation caseloads go up, monitoring gets thinner, support becomes inconsistent, people get recalled faster because there's less capacity to stabilize them. And that's where you get the worst outcome, not rehabilitation in the community, but revolving door justice. Out, breach, back, out, breach, back. That's not safety, that's churn. If you're watching this thinking, does this affect me? Here's who this touches. Families piling release like it's a finish line. Anyone on license who doesn't understand conditions. Anyone with unstable housing. Anyone with addiction or mental health needs. Victims who feel blindsided by release timelines. Prison staff trying to manage constant movement. And most importantly, communities absorbing the risk shift. So if you're a family member, you need knowledge. If you're an officer, you crucially need clarity. If you're someone serving time, you need reality, not wing rumours. Because misinformation is how violence starts on landings. It's how trust breaks. And it's how people make decisions that ruin their own case. This is the part one, the foundation. In part two, I'm going into kind of winners and losers, who benefits, who gets crushed by license and recall side of it. Part 3, I'm going to break down sentences versus time served, that bit that causes the most family pain. And then we'll do the big one, how supervision in the community actually works and what happens if it fails. Because the bill doesn't just change prison time, it changes what freedom looks like for thousands of people. If this episode helped you, do 3 things. Subscribe. This is a series and the next parts get more specific. Comment license if you want the next episode to focus heavily on community supervision and recall. And if you've lived this, prisoner, family, officer, victim, tell me what part of the system hit you the hardest. Because the justice system runs on confusion, and I'm not letting that be the default anymore. Before we end this episode, hi, I'm Dagna, and I've stood on the inside of the system. I've heard and seen what the headlines miss. This is Inside Out Justice, where we say the quiet parts out loud. I'll see you in the next one.